based on the works of Karol Wyszyński. Diaries of Magic Eyes.
September 21st. Dear Diary, today, together with the Dobrzegnu team, we went to visit Twin Mountain. I felt wonderful, as if I was spending time with best friends that I have known for years. It is unthinkable that such a short period of traveling together would be enough to get so close to people. Around noon, we went to the inn to eat something. We sat down at a table in front of the building and enjoyed a delicious meal while listening to the music played by the band in the market. After finishing our meal, we went closer to admire the dancing couples. Jarmila could not resist and pulled Isber to the center to dance with him. Soon the song ended, and the band started another one. I immediately recognized what they were playing. Ballerina, a song from the continent, but it spread all over the island in a flash. I really wanted to dance, but it is danced in pairs, and I was the 11th person, so there was no pair for me. Before the music started, someone from the dancing grabbed my hand and pulled me into the circle. A few other people were pulled in beside me, the more the better. With a smile on my face, I could start dancing. Holding hands, we lined up in a circle in pairs, the ladies standing in the middle. We jumped rhythmically in accordance with the melody. When it got more intense, with a lively movement, we took 4 steps forward, turned around, and took another 4 steps in the same direction. Without stopping, 4 steps in the opposite direction than before, a turn, and 4 steps backwards. In more or less the same place where we started, the couples jumped towards each other, still holding hands, then away from each other. Then we swapped places and jumped towards each other and away from each other again. At this point, we swapped places again, and a rotation occurred. The ladies moved forward and changed partners. From that point on, everything repeated itself. Before the song ended, we made a few partner changes, and it so happened that my partner was to be Dobrzegnu right at the end. I have to admit that I was secretly hoping that I would be able to dance with him. At that moment, the band announced that they would play the last special song, Color Ball. As soon as they said the title, I saw my partner's eyes light up with excitement, and the biggest smile I had ever seen on his face appeared on his face. It was obvious that he really wanted to dance. There was only one problem: I had never danced colorball before. I was about to let go of his hand and step aside when he looked at me with his sapphire eyes. He asked me if I would do him a favor and dance with him. In a flustered voice, I replied that I couldn't dance that. I saw all the glow from his face slowly fade, replaced by sadness, but with a last ray of hope he asked, what if he led me? I agreed to this proposal, and a smile appeared on his face again. I was to stand 2 steps away from him and approach him with a rotating movement, so that he could freely embrace me around the waist. Unfortunately, instead of walking past him, I simply bumped into him, but he didn't care, and he did a spin with me. Then we stood opposite each other and alternately crossed our arms at the elbows, so 3 times. On the 4th attempt, he grabbed my hand, and I was to do a pirouette. Then I stepped on his foot. Still holding my hand, we took a few steps around. Then he stood next to me. With his right hand, he held my right hand behind my neck, and with his left hand, my left. We did this for 2 steps forward and 2 steps back, turned around, and repeated the sequence. At this point, something strange started to happen. I already knew the next move before Dobrzegnu told me. It was as if I knew this dance perfectly. We stood facing each other, with our arms crossed. We made 2 turns, and I made another one by myself. He put his right hand behind my neck, holding my left, and we started to turn. After 2 turns we turned, without stopping, still turning in the same direction. After another change, I stood on his right side, holding my left hand on his back. I went to his left side and put my right hand on his back. We repeated this 3 more times. We started to speed up. He grabbed me by the waist and moved me to his other side. I knew every next move perfectly. Holding hands with a springy step, we walked sideways. Then, to a large extent, we repeated the previous patterns. Smiles did not leave our faces. I felt as free as ever, as if I was in a dream, as if I was where I belonged. Finally, he lifted me up again. Then I leaned back as much as I could, as if I wanted to touch the ground with my head. I jumped on his shoulders at the last note, and we ended it with a deep kiss. We were in a trance, from which we were only torn by the applause of other people. It turned out that our dance attracted the attention of everyone in the market, and we were the center of attention. Unfortunately, the whole charm was broken when we returned to our senses. Unexpectedly, the expression of joy on Dobrzegnew's face was replaced by bitterness and sadness. He lowered me to the ground and, turning around, uttered one sentence, "Forgive me, we shouldn't have danced that." As he left, he only added that he needed to be alone for a while and think something over. The entire market was enveloped in an atmosphere of depression. My companions told me not to worry about it, because it wasn't my fault. As they left to catch up with their leader, they said that we would meet later at the inn. I decided not to disturb them, and went my way. I walked along the path, admiring the views and humming the melody of the color ball. I analyzed what had actually happened. I came to the conclusion that I must have known this dance before I lost my memory, and under the influence of emotions the memories came back. I still don't remember many things, but this situation gave me hope that I have a chance to regain, if not all, then at least part of my memory. I continued to remember the dance with Dobrzegneu, and one thing was bothering me. Dancing with him was too familiar, and I don't mean the dance, but the way he danced. His movements were too familiar, as if I had already danced with him. I was so lost in my thoughts that I didn't notice how far I had gone. I managed to go deep into the forest, and suddenly I heard a growl coming from somewhere behind the trees. I saw eyes staring at me, then I noticed the silhouette of a dog. After taking a closer look, I noticed thick foam dripping from his mouth. I understood that he was infected and would undoubtedly attack me. I instinctively reached for my spear, but I realized that I had left all my gear at the inn that morning. The dog charged. I used magic eyes to avoid its bite, and while dodging as it jumped past me, somehow intuitively tried to attack it with a weapon I didn't have. Suddenly, I heard a whine and the sound of rolling on the ground. The dog was lying, unsuccessfully trying to get up with a large wound on its back. Surprised, I felt that I was holding something in my hand. It was a shimmering emerald sword. The moment I stopped the magic eyes, the sword disappeared into thin air. I had heard legends that when a user of magic eyes meets their destiny, or in other legends of a loved one who is also a user, their powers can evolve. I thought intensely about Dobrzegneu. Was he my destiny? Does he also have royal blood? I returned to the inn, where I met the others. Of course, I didn't say anything about the situation that had happened to me. We stayed there until the end of the day, because a storm had broken out.